Hey Busy Bees! For our final installment of the meal planning series, I'm going to show you how to make snacks. These aren't your typical snacks though. They're a little bit unique but completely delicious. I'm going to show you how to make Korean roasted chickpeas, Japanese rice balls stuffed with salmon and teriyaki sauce, and DAIFUKUs, which is stuffed mochis with chocolate and strawberries. Yeah! So let's get right on into it. I'm starting off with my baking sheet that I'm just going to line with some parchment paper. Then, using my kitchen towel, I'm going to lay it down. Then I'll take my garbanzo beans and pour it out. I'm using 2 cans of beans that I've already drained and washed. I'll pat them completely dry and then just remove any skins that's left over. I'll pour it onto the parchment, add 1 teaspoon of sesame oil, half a tablespoon of olive oil, and then I'll spread them out evenly and bake it at 400 degrees for about 25 minutes, the first time. The first few times I made these, the chickpeas never dried out completely and they were a little soggy inside. And so I thought, how can I make them dry out faster? Every time I opened the oven, a waft of steam would hit my face and I thought there's just too much moisture. So here's my trick for making crispy chickpeas. While the chickpeas are roasting, I just wedge the oven open a little bit with the chopstick to let out some steam. Alright, while the beans are in the oven, I'm going to work on my Korean spice mix. First, I'm adding 2 teaspoons of gochugaru that's finely ground to a bowl, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. Mix it all together and set it aside. Once our garbanzo beans are done baking the first round, I'm going to remove it from the oven and pour over my Korean spice. Pour it over, stir it around, mix it well, making sure each bean is coated with this yummy spice. Okay, now they're going back into the oven for another 25 minutes, and just be sure to wedge the oven with a chopstick or a spoon or something thin. Once they're ready, pull them out of the oven and give it a good shake. Ta-da! All done. Now I'll just pack them into my snack bags for the week. They're nice and crispy and totally satisfying. And here they are. They're nice and crispy. And they remind me a lot of corn nuts. They're sweet, salty, spicy, and crunchy all in one. It's like an explosion of flavors in your mouth. I love it. Alright, next up we're going to be making onigiri, which is stuffed rice balls with salmon and teriyaki. First, I'm going to start by making my teriyaki sauce. My secret weapon here is this mirin sake cooking wine. It's going to add a little bit of sweetness and that interesting flavor in the teriyaki. In a medium saucepan, I'm going to add in half a cup of soy sauce, half a cup of my mirin sake wine, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 2 tablespoons of water, 1 teaspoon of sesame seeds, half a teaspoon of minced ginger, 1 clove of minced garlic, and half a tablespoon of cornstarch. I'll whisk everything together and heat it up on medium-high heat until it starts to bubble and thicken. I'll continue whisking it so that it doesn't clump up and burn at the bottom. Perfect! Now I can start building my onigiri. Here I have some smoked salmon that I'm just going to break into pieces. With wet hands, I'm going to grab a little bit of my sushi rice. I'll flatten it out with my hands, and then I'm going to add a dollop of the teriyaki sauce. I'll take a little bit of the smoked salmon, wet my hands again, fold it up, and then just grab a little bit more rice to cover the ball. Keep forming the ball until you don't see any more sauce. I like making it into a triangle. Let's make a few more. Adding a little bit more teriyaki sauce, some smoked salmon, cover it with some more rice, and then this time, I'm going to roll it into a ball. Okay, I have my shapes all ready, so now I'm going to take my nori sheets and cut it up into shapes that I need. First one is going to be a strip, thick strips for the triangles, and then to make the rice balls fun, I'm going to cut it into some interesting shapes. You'll see. Here, I made 4 half domes, and now taking 2 sheets, I'm going to cut 2 ovals, a circle, and then a strip. Can you tell what I'm making? Yes, panda bears. And then just like the emojis, I'm making the triangle ones. Fun! Perfect. I like to add a little bit of furikake to give it some more flavor and pizzazz. Okay, now to store it for the week, I'm just gonna wrap it up tightly in plastic wrap. Happy panda. Not happy panda. Doesn't it look just like the emoji? These are perfect for a snack because you can pack them away and eat them at room temperature, or you can microwave them for about 30 seconds to warm it up. Alright, for our last snack, I'm gonna make a sweet treat, the DAIFUKU, but I'm not making it with the traditional red beans. I'm using chocolate to cover our strawberries. First, I'm starting off with 3 ounces of dark chocolate, then a 1/4 cup of hot, heavy whipping cream. I'll let it sit for about 30 seconds to fully absorb, and then I'll stir it until the chocolate combines with the cream to make a beautiful glossy ganache. Perfect, it's nice and thick. Now, using a toothpick, I'm gonna go ahead and dip my strawberries into the chocolate, twirl them around so that they're fully covered. It's okay if the tip is not covered. I'll let them sit for a couple minutes to harden a little bit, and then I'm gonna go in for a second coat. This time I have a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. I'll give the strawberries another dunk, and then I'll freeze them while I work on my mochi dough. In a bowl, I'm adding 1 cup of MOCHIKO rice flour. MOCHIKO flour is sweet rice flour that I got at the Asian market, but I think they have them at most conventional stores these days. 3/4 of a cup of sugar, mix it well, and then I'm adding 1 cup of cold water. Give it a good mix. Perfect. And then I'm gonna add in some food coloring. I'm adding red here so that I can make pink mochi. Great, I'll scrape the sides down and cover it with some plastic wrap. And then I'll microwave it for 2 minutes. Then I'll pull it out and give it a good mix to fluff it up. I'll cover it again and microwave it for another 2.5 minutes. Now on my working surface, I'm going to prepare it with a ton of cornstarch because the mochi is really sticky. I'll spread it out and then I'll pour my mochi dough directly on there and then add a little bit more cornstarch. The mochi dough will be super hot, so be sure to handle with care. Just add some cornstarch on top and pat it down gently. Now I'm separating them into 8 even slices. Then I'll roll them out into thin little sheets. I'm keeping them well dusted so they don't stick together. Now it's time to put it all together. I'm taking a chilled chocolate-covered strawberry and I'll place it in the middle of my mochi sheet. I'll fold the mochi sheet up. The toothpick here will be kind of like my guide for the middle. And then I'll pull out the toothpick, cut any of the excess mochi dough, because there's a lot. And then I'll just refold them. And if it becomes a little bit too sticky, I'll just dust it with some more cornstarch. Practice really makes perfect here, guys. My first one was not very pretty, but I've got better with each one. Just roll it into a ball until it's nice and even. Ta-da! And just repeat until you have everything done. The moment of truth, let's cut them in half. And there we go, our yummy chocolate strawberry DAIFUKU. So good. I'm so proud of these. I know it took a lot of work to make them, but the end result is supremo. Let's give them a try. The mochi is soft and chewy, and the chocolate-covered strawberries is just perfection. Which of these snacks would you guys try? My favorite, obviously, was the DAIFUKU, but they're all really good, and they pack so well. All of these will last you for about a week, if they last that long. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Honeysuckle Catering, and please don't forget to subscribe below. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!